So if you can keep fighting fucking 50-something-year-olds
You don't think Tyson has a chance?
and making a living at it, I think that Mike Tyson has a puncher's chance against anybody. Mike's 58 years old. You know what I mean? And
Right.
I hate doing this because Mike gets mad at me every time I do this, but Mike shouldn't be fighting.
Dana White didn't hold back on the rumored Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight, calling it a ridiculous mismatch. Tyson, a 58-year-old boxing legend who's been out of the ring for over a decade.
I believe that he was making the money he says he's making. Showtime Boxing wouldn't have gone out of business, and Showtime would have made sure they kept paying him.
Right.
But he's doing it. You know, what do I think of the Mike Tyson fight?
Yes.
Tyson's 58 years old. You know what I mean? Jake fought a guy who was his age and who was also considered a boxer, and he lost.
Would be facing a 28-year-old in his prime, and that doesn't sit well with the UFC president. White took shots at Paul's track record of choosing older, retired athletes as opponents, making it seem like a legitimate fight, when, in his words, it's nothing more than a circus act. White didn't stop at criticizing the fighters either. He called out the whole setup as a cash grab to
Under any circumstances, a fucking almost 60-year-old man shouldn't be fighting a 27-year-old guy under any circumstances, even if it's Mike Tyson. So it's just
disguised as a real fight, a move designed to generate hype without any real challenge or substance. To him, the idea of framing this as a legendary fight is all smoke and mirrors. This is a matchup between a...
God, no. When this fight happens, Tyson will be 58 years.
I'm worried about it.
Under any circumstances.
A 60-year-old icon and a YouTuber turned boxer who cherry-picks his way to easy wins. And White's disbelief in it all was clear. The fountain so picolaration whose outstage contrasted the pillets. Dana White didn't hold back, calling out with taken years of wear and tear. Jake Paul.
And he was getting this like rep, like, oh, they're protecting their golden goose, whatever. And I remember, it's so funny. I remember the Jan fight. I was like, oh, they're done with him. They're going to feed him to Jan. They don't think he's got it.
Paul's idea of leveling up in boxing shouldn't involve dragging icons out of retirement for a few Instagram, punches. Dana...
If you are the world champion, there's no questioning who the best is, because you've already run through, the baddest people in the world in your weight class.
And now I understand why you get annoyed by media, because I remember when Sean was Sugar Sean was coming up, and he was getting that there was this narrative that like he was being protected.
White didn't hold back, calling out what many have been thinking but might not want to admit. He picks retired athletes, aging...
Tyson knocks out
My biggest problem with the Jake Paul thing is, and how this plays out, is when he actually fought somebody who was a boxer, who had the same type of record he has, who is his age,
Tommy,
and who is his size, lost.
Young fighters, or those way past their prime? Dana pointed to Paul's opponent list: Tyrone Woodley, Anderson Silva, and now...
Guys, Jake needs Tyson and needs all these other people, because everybody's going to tune in to hope that Mike Tyson knocks him out.
Right.
They're not tuning in because they think Jake Paul's a great fighter and they want to...
Potentially Tyson. As a retirement home roll call. A transparent strategy for clout chasing rather than proving himself as a real boxer. White's criticism highlights how Paul's matchmaking is about image and easy wins, not true competition. Dana didn't stop there. He took another swing, this time at the Showtime boxing situation, and reminded everyone of Jake Paul's loss to Tommy Fury. When Jake faced an opponent his own age and skill level, he lost. And Dana made sure to highlight that fact, driving home how quickly Jake's whole act falls apart on a fair playing field. Dana's perspective cut through the hype and exposed the reality. Dana's perspective cut through the hype and exposed the reality of what would very often be the topic of discussion.
I have love for Jake too. I don't
Wait,
know. I don't know when a
Paul's
fight's happening.
fights
I really
are all
don't.
the same. He fights older people that are smaller. It's all the same shit. And listen, the kid's doing his thing, but he lies about all this.
In Dana's view, it was a cash grab, plain and simple. Tyson brought the legacy. Jake brought the social media hype. And together they turned the ring into a stage for something that barely resembled true boxing. Dana wasn't about to stay silent, calling out every mismatched, money-grabbing, credibility-shredding aspect of it. And honestly, after hearing his take, it's hard not to see his point. On the night of the Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson fight, the spectacle left everyone with mixed emotions. The judges scored the fight 87-3, 79-73, and 79-73.
Mike gets forward, lands a beautiful jab that rocks Jake, and I think immediately that made Jake realize that he couldn't be reckless against him. But then as time went on, he realized that that threat was not as present as he might have thought.
In Paul's favor, and while the scores may suggest a close match, the numbers tell a different story. Paul dominated, landing 171 punches compared to Tyson's 87, a significant gap that shows who controls.
If I brought up fucking Jake Paul, pretty much everybody in the room and the other room wants to see Jake Paul get knocked out. So you're hoping, you got the reason why you hope Tyson would pull this off. Or
Did you help set that up? Because I know you're close with Tyson.
The fight's pace. But it wasn't simply a matter of Tyson being outboxed by a younger, faster opponent. The issue was that Tyson, nearly 60, was up against someone not only decades younger, but a fighter who'd built his career of cherry-picking easier opponents. This wasn't a fair contest, but a clash engineered for spectacle, with Tyson's legacy put on the line for Jake's advantage. Tyson landed fewer punches, his stamina visibly lagged, and his body wasn't equipped for a fight like this. But despite all these disadvantages, he didn't quit. That resilience is perhaps the only...
Rules are 8 2-minute rounds, not 3-minute rounds, 2-minute rounds, and 14-ounce gloves, not 10-ounce gloves. Normally pro fights are 10-ounce gloves and no headgear, which is normal for, a pro fight. Here's my question. How do you call it a professional fight if the rules you're using are not professional rules?
Credit he can be given. However, the fallout has been rough, with many questioning if this fight tarnished Tyson's legacy. Tyson is one of the most iconic figures in boxing.
guys, Jake needs Tyson and needs all these other people because everybody's going to tune in to hope that Mike Tyson knocks him out.
Right.
They're not tuning in because they think Jake Paul's a great fighter
And his career should have ended on his own terms, not in a money-driven spectacle. For fans who grew up watching him dominate in the ring, seeing Tyson in this state was hard to stomach. They remembered the prime Tyson, the one who demolished opponents with raw power and skill, not the one struggling to keep pace with a younger man.
I'm surprised that Jake Paul is doing this. He's on the way to building a legitimate boxing career, regardless of what anyone else thinks. He's having real fights. To now step down to do this kind of exhibition style fight against, 50-something-year-old man. I just don't get the motivation from...
For longtime fans, this fight felt like a cash grab, a slap in the face to the sport's history.
From Jake's perspective.
Well, I do. Jake, part of it is what it's been from the beginning. He's been very upfront about it. He's in the money-making business. That's,
I don't think he needs the money. How much money do you need? He said he makes tens of millions a year.
Is there ever enough money, really? You've been in the finance.
For me, there is.
You are in the financial business before you got into this.
There's a level where you don't need any more, and it's not very much.
No, I agree. There are things more important than just money.
Audience reactions were mixed. Some were entertained by the novelty, while others felt disappointed. The spectacle left many with a sense of loss, as if the essence of Tyson's legacy was overshadowed by the demands of entertainment and social media hype. Reactions to the fight were strong and divided. On one side, there were viewers tuning in for the drama. They came to see Jake Paul, and for them that's all it was. But then there was the other side, fans who were outraged by what they saw. These fans believed the fight disrespected boxing, tuning in with hopes of witnessing a real contest, not a spectacle. To them, seeing Tyson in this fight felt like a tragic fall from grace. Jake Paul, in their eyes, came off as an opportunistic celebrity out to boost his ego and bank account. Was risking Tyson's health worth it for such a fight? Absolutely not. This wasn't about spectacle, and for those true fans, it was a disappointing, almost shameful event in the history of the sport. Tyson's career deserves far more respect than being reduced to a pawn in a circus act. Let's be honest. Jake Paul didn't need to fight a legend to make a name for himself. He could have chosen an active boxer his own age, someone still in the sport. But instead, Paul took the easy route, targeting a man clearly past his prime and facing health challenges. That's not bravery, it's exploitation. Paul knew Tyson's name would generate the kind of buzz he couldn't get from facing a real, competitive opponent. This fight was about using Tyson's legacy for attention, not about skill or competition. Dana White has long called Paul a novelty act, and in light of this match, it's hard to disagree. Paul's career has largely been built on picking easy fights, and this spectacle with Tyson was just the latest example, reinforcing White's harsh but, for many, accurate assessment. Jake Paul isn't out there fighting the best. He's cherry-picking opponents he knows he can beat. Dana White is right to call him out on this. If Paul genuinely wants to be taken seriously as a boxer, he needs to face someone who truly challenges him. The aftermath of the Tyson vs. Paul fight raises serious concerns for boxing's future. Will more legends be drawn into the influencer boxing spectacle? Fighters and promoters are now questioning the direction of the sport as it increasingly leans toward entertainment over genuine competition. The integrity of boxing is at risk, as streaming platforms like Netflix fuel spectacles over tradition. To regain credibility, boxing must return to its roots, prioritizing genuine competition over gimmicks. Without a course correction, the sport risks losing respect and authenticity, favoring quick profits and intonation, favoring quick profits and the sport's true essence. It's time for boxing to protect its history, not compromise it.